Yes, you are back live with the crew, and thank you so much for spending some time with me again and my dog Bruno. I've got a deep one for you today. Hopefully I can explain this in a way that makes sense to you, because I know it's very difficult for a lot of people to understand the bond market, but the bond market is very big. It's massive. It's 100 times bigger than the stock market, and which is 100 or 1,000 times bigger than the crypto market. But it got big because we use it. We use it for everything, and it builds municipalities. It builds a water system, a sewage system, new streets, a new stadium, whatever you might be needing billions, or few, not long from now, trillions, to create new cities and countries and systems. Those bonds have always been backed by the product of, let's say, we need a new electrical grid, or we need a new water system. Now, okay, this is going to be new to a lot of you, but if you've watched my show for any period of time, I've done a few videos on this, actually. Not just El Salvador. However, El Salvador has done a bond. They are into their second series of bonds now, I believe. And what they've done is they've backed it by and I'm going to use the word commodity. It's not exactly the perfect word for Bitcoin, but they've used a commodity and the generation of this commodity as their municipal bond, if you will. Hang in there with me, guys. I know if you're an XRP guy that you're probably not, oh wow, Bitcoin, I'm turning away. Hang in there, because I'm going to explain what this means to XRP, and I'm going to explain what everybody that watches my channel always remarks. They're on one side of the coin or the other, and when they're on the negative side of Bitcoin and they're an XRP holder, they always give me the same runaround that, the NSA created it and all these other problems. I got news for you. The NSA created Facebook, and they created a lot of things that you use on a daily basis, and they're probably going to create many more things in the future that you're going to use. So it doesn't really necessarily matter who created some things. I know to some people it really does. I get it. I understand that. That's not what this video is really about. What I'm trying to get is a big picture concept that maybe you can understand where they're going with this whole thing and why it's such a big ETF rush right now. What happened was, this little country of El Salvador created this muni bond. This bond basically says, I'm backing this by the generation of, I'm building a geothermal plant. This plant is a bond. That plant being created is going to create free electricity, okay, for the people of El Salvador, but also free, think about this word, free electricity, maintenance costs to the factory after it's built, to generate Bitcoin. This Bitcoin is going to be generated, and it's being put into half of the bond value. In other words, your bond coupon value is half of the value of the Bitcoin that's generated from said facility that you just created with the bond. So this bond, okay, is now, it's called a volcano bond in nickname. It's now, that bond generates not only electricity, it generates Bitcoins, therefore making it the single greatest, in my opinion, bond that you can possibly obtain or get or create. Why? Because it's creating and it's generating physical assets such as Bitcoin and electricity. Now, those of you who don't like Bitcoin, I'm going to explain not why you should like it. I don't really care what you like. That's up to you. What I'm going to say is I get a lot of comments that it doesn't transact well, and it's not a good distribution of money, and it's not this and it's not that. Here's where the big picture comes in. I'm so glad you stuck around this long. The system creates money. They like it. They like doing that because when they can create their own money, they run the world. They can control the world, they can manipulate things and get people to do things for them that they, otherwise wouldn't do for said people. This money is being now threatened by something such as Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin comes along and it's a new threat to their money generating machine, the little genie bottle that they have. And they're like, well, we got to stop that thing somehow. How do we stop that thing? Well, it happened almost naturally in the sense that Bitcoin became the perfect bond. And then they were like, oh, man, Bitcoin's not going to be the currency of the world. It's just going to be this heavy laden asset that is generated through electricity that's going to become a commodity, which is going to be nothing more than mining gold out of the ground, only it's digital. In my opinion, it's better than gold in so many different ways going forward into the future. However, it doesn't have the proven track record that gold has as far as a storage of wealth yet, but I believe that it will in the future. So they dodged this big bullet of the fact that the world isn't going to use Bitcoin for money as currency. Because government likes control of their own little currencies, as we all know. However, there was a big bullet that came along, and the bullet goes like this. If you look at the FISB tax event that just happened in the last couple of weeks, that is going to be mandatory about a year from now, the end of 24, that FISB accounting record basically says to anybody who has a position in finance, who's responsible for running it for a fund or many other people, that they have a obligation or an obligation to their holders or to their trust funds, okay? They have to go out and seek proper finance. And they have to do it because it's part of the oath they took, and it's the job they have. It's part of their laws and rules and regs. When you get the big picture that I'm painting here, wait a minute. Now we have by the way, it's the number 2 selling bond in the world, this Bitcoin bond, and it sold out faster than any other bond. It's generated more income than any other bond. It's the only second one to that is the one Michael Saylor created, which is unbelievably, its production is unbelievable. When you look at what, I know there's so many people in XRP that don't like Michael Saylor. I don't understand that, but whatever, that's your deal. And you don't like Bitcoin, I get that, but I'm coming back to XRP, so hang in there with this video. These people are now obligated to look at buying Bitcoin in bond form, which by the end of 24 is going to be not a opportunity, it's going to be mandatory. If you read the laws and the regs and the rules in which were created, it's mandatory accounting practices that are going to be set in stone in December of 24. I know that's over a year from now, and I know that seems like a long time, but it goes really fast. What did that tell people like Vanguard? What did that tell people in BlackRock and Greystone? Or, yeah, all of these companies. Fidelity. Uh-oh. What do you mean, uh-oh? Well, you've got a company, you've got a trust fund, or you've got an account, okay, a retirement fund that has to generate income. None of them are. Vanguard isn't making money for their clients right now. They can't. They just aren't. Okay, yeah, they can buy T-bills and this 5%. That isn't doing it. We've already promised all the firemen and all the police officers in the U.S. 8% return, and we're not getting that right now currently. So what are they going to do? They're going to go to bonds like Bitcoin facility bonds that creates something that makes electricity while it's needed for the people. When they don't need the electricity for the people, it's generating Bitcoin for money and they're turning electricity into money around the world, and they're able to do it in such volcanic places such as El Salvador and thousands of other places and locations in the world, rivers, waterfalls, and all of these things, and they're able to generate free electricity, which creates the Bitcoin to those people nearly free. This is going to be huge. Why would the man with a fiduciary duty buy a Apple stock? Why would he buy any other thing? He has something that's based upon what we're calling digital gold now, because remember, the bankers and the government said, man, we dodged a bullet. Bitcoin isn't going to be currency. It's going to be a commodity. Okay? They're turning electricity into a commodity physically with Bitcoin. Hope you understand where that is. So what did Fidelity and these people do? They got in a room and they said, okay, we dodged the bullet. People that print the money, okay, the central bankers dodged the bullet of the currency bullet. But then these guys went, well, wait a minute, what's in it for us? As we know, they wash each other's hands and they're in on this all together. What did this do for us? All of a sudden, we've got this competitor who's going to be able to sell this bond. That thing's going to be returning 10 to 20% annually. And holy smokes, what are we doing here? How are we combating this? There's going to be trillions of dollars going into Bitcoin bonds backed by Bitcoin. And the more that goes into it and the more Bitcoin that gets purchased, it elevates the price and the demand, and there's not much of it. It's very scarce. As you know, it's less than 20 million coins. And this, when you're talking about corporations that have $9 trillion under roof and they have to find revenue for their retirement funds, they can't compete with that. So they're going to start producing Bitcoin bonds? No. They decided to go ETF, and they're all in the ETF panic game right now. Why do you think the SEC is going to roll over and allow these people to go with an ETF? Out of the blue. Out of the blue, everybody and their brother decides, I want a Bitcoin ETF. They're stopping, they're trying to control, they're trying to get out in front of the entire investment world globally going to Bitcoin bonds, then Ethereum bonds, and then you guessed where this video is going. Xrp bonds. Now I want to talk about all these comments that I get down below, and they're so important, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I read them all. I understand all your questions, and I get why you have a problem with all this Bitcoin over XRP thing. They're two totally different coins. They're two totally different projects. You are not in competition with each other. That's like saying gold is in competition with Visa. It's not. Gold is in a vault. Gold doesn't need fast transaction speed. Gold is a storage of wealth. Gold is an inflation hedge. Gold is something that you keep to make sure that the money printers go burr, don't destroy the value of what you've worked your whole life for. That's what gold is. And could be more than that if we were going to go into some darker, scarier times, which could or could not be coming. What XRP is a credit card. There's a big difference between a credit card and a bar of gold. Okay? And they're both fantastic. One is a transaction. One is a liquidity. One is an instant liquidity market. One of them, and I know XRP says they're going a little bit away from ODL, but they're not. That's a statement to keep them from being pursued by, the people that you can imagine. This is a big concept that I want you guys to understand. This is something I talked about on Zach Rector's show in October of last year, almost a year ago now. I said they were going to go bonds with this product. That's what they're doing. When Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP have a bond in their name, and you're able to stake it, and you're getting staking returns on your Cardano coin or whatever coin you have, and it's paying returns every month, and you list that in a bond form, you know what the annual returns are. It's not maybe, it's a done deal. This is where all the investment and retirement funds money go. Well, what's going to do? What does that do to companies like Fidelity, BlackRock, who have $9 trillion of retirement money into their roof? They're in a scramble. They have to beat those numbers. They have to have returns higher than that. That's why when I hear people tell me, oh, the ETF is just going to crush the Bitcoin price and it's going to go to zero because it doesn't have any use case. Wrong. You're wrong. Okay? This little country of El Salvador has already proved its use case. Look at the fact that they already paid the IMF off. They don't owe the world banking system anything. Their citizens are paying less and less and virtually no tax. That country could be the wealthiest country in the world within 5 to 10 years from now, and I'm not exaggerating. Look into this. This is huge. I'm trying to give you the big picture, and I'm trying to get you to understand this is a global competition for return on investment. That's what you're looking at right now. And it's very big, and it's huge, and it's bigger than it's ever been because there's more and more people seeing through the bankers, and there's more and more people seeing through the inflation and the corruption and the printing of all the money around the world. And I know you guys know that because you're on my channel and we talk about it every show. I hope I didn't make this too long. I hope you got what I was talking about with this. Punchline to this whole thing. This ultimately is not going to be... My dog just ripped the microphone. Well, I guess you guys can gather what occurs here. Yeah. Gotta love those dogs, don't we? Huh? Huh? You. It was you, sir. All right, everybody. Love you guys. Have a great day.